Yay. Hi, everyone. It's Cindy with Cindy Duncan Arts, and today is Coffee and Creativity. And I have a very special guest with me today. And I hope I don't screw your name up. It's Geri Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, Geri Taylor from a Happy Hoarder.
Mhm.
And I discovered Geri through my other business, I almost called it my hoarding business, which it might as well be. The wrong words always come into my head. Um,
It's a good word.
with my reselling business and my vintage business. And what's funny is how I happened on it was because of that. But I discovered that Geri's also an amazing artist and also an art teacher, correct, Geri?
Yes.
Okay. So Geri does some really amazing artwork, including some phenomenal dolls. And I decided to have Geri on the program because today, as you're seeing this, I'm actually on the road to Boston. My daughter is graduating from college.
I heard about
And
that.
yeah, so I get to go and see her live commencement. So I'm really excited about that. Well, I say that like it's happening now. It's not. My daughter graduated in 2020.
I'm so glad they did this.
And they canceled commencement. Well, they postponed commencement the first time. They canceled it the second time. They were going to do it in August of 2020. And now they're doing a live commencement. And for those that graduated in 2020, along with 2021, but they do get a separate one. So it's really exciting. I'm very happy for that. So this is happening at a really wonderful time for that. So yeah, thanks for joining me, Geri. I appreciate
That
it.
is great. That's great. That was a rough year. So I'm glad you got
gosh.
to get a redo.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Hang on, I'm going to turn this off because I think that's all I really need from there. I'm doing double duty. I'm filming for my blog. You guys might have already.
Yeah.
So tell us, other than my little introduction, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Geri, and, kind of your art journey and whatever.
Well, I was, high school artist, that kind of stuff. Grew up drawing. And when I went to college, of course, you have to go study art in college. And so I studied graphics at first, and it became a little too competitive for me. And I kind of backed off and thought, I don't think I want to do this. I mean, it got scary. I mean, we were doing some stuff before computers. It was hard. I mean, when you did your lettering, you hand lettered stuff. So it was getting really hairy. I'm kind of messy. I'm not a real neat. I'm more probably fine arts than I was graphics, but I learned a lot about design and things like that. So I got out and went into business until I took an economics course. And I went, wow, I don't think I could be a business person. It's all about lying. But no, marketing. It was the marketing class. Took the marketing class, and it was just the deception of marketing, basically what my class was. And economics was hard as well. But I did get a degree. I got a 2-year degree in business. I got a 4-year degree in general studies with an art concentrate because I had plenty of hours from being in graphic design. And then I came back and went another degree, 3 college degrees. I have over 200 hours, but I had like 217 hours. It's pretty bad. And anyway, I went back in art education, and I taught art 1 year. I taught reading. I was an assistant teacher 1 year, and then I was for reading, not even for art. And then I taught art 1 year before we moved I was in Texas, so I moved back to Louisiana, and all this. Oh my gosh, nightmare! But I did not want to teach in the public schools, and then when I had my children, I just wanted to teach private classes. So I did a lot of private classes, which was great. That was really a good fit for me. So I did that, and then I had the opportunity. I was subbing, and I started getting all these long-term sub jobs and stuff. And I thought, I kind of like doing this. And then it all started with me subbing for art. I mean, that is how I signed up to sub, just to teach art. And I was doing a lot. I had a teacher that I was regularly teaching for, and then I had a first grade teacher started contacting, can you sub for me once a month? And then it got to be the music teacher wanted me, and then so it turned into pretty much a full-time job, which took me away from doing what I love, which was the art. So I'm really glad to be back in the classroom teaching the gifted and talented, and then I have a 7th grade class that I teach. So much fun.
So now are you a part-time art teacher right now?
I am. I don't think I would want to go back full-time anymore. I mean, I kind of dropped off the sub list because I'm tired of the full-time job. It's a long day. It really is. So I said, because I wasn't doing what I was enjoying doing. I was just getting paid to do something else. So when I got offered this job, I went, this is a gift from heaven. I'm telling you, this was the perfect job for me. Unfortunately, I think they're looking for full-time next year. And I said, can't do it. Can't give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the trick. Because I actually thought, because I actually am well, I was going to say I'm a certified teacher, which is
Mhm.
actually true, but it's not. We've switched to a licensure program. That's how long I've been out of teaching.
Right. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
out of that. Yeah.
we've done the licensure thing in Ohio, and I don't have a teaching license, and I
Mhm.
don't know what it would take for me to go back and get it again. But not in art. I actually have a teaching degree. Well, I don't have a teaching. That's not true. My undergraduate degree is in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
And like you, I went back and
And
then did
what
whatever I needed
Spanish
to do
going
to
on up
get
in your part of the world? Because I know there's a lot in Texas.
well, funny story. So I grew up in the city of Cleveland, and my neighborhood actually had quite a number of Puerto Rican people that lived
Oh,
in the city. And my friends, I always tell this story. I'm not sure how they react to it. But my friends used to talk all the time around me in Spanish. And I was convinced growing up that they were talking about me. And so when I went on to high school and I
oh, I have a
had the
delay.
opportunity to pick a language, I decided I was going to pick Spanish
Hmm.
because then I could find out what my friends were saying about me. And it's hysterical because after that, I have people that'll say, "Oh, and you found out they weren't talking about you," and no, that's not really the case. I did find out they were talking about me, but then I knew what they were saying, so it was
That's
okay.
right.
And they're my friends, so when I say that, it wasn't like anything awful, but I digress. But that's why I started learning Spanish because I felt like an outsider, and so that kind of helped me. And so then I went on to. It was the one thing that I excelled at actually. So when I went on to college, I started out thinking about doing teaching, but I couldn't pick a second field. They wanted us to have two different fields, and at that time, I wasn't really
Mhm.
doing much in art. My dad, God love him, he saw things in me as we do in our. You have children, Jerry?
Yes, and both are
Okay.
artists.
As we see in our children, yeah, that they don't see. We see traits and skills and things like that that they often don't see. And my dad saw a couple things in me, one of which was he saw the art, and he kept trying to prompt me to take art, and I just couldn't fit it into my schedule. And I was intimidated because I always believed that art was fine art. So if you didn't draw or paint, you weren't an artist. And I did not draw or paint, and realistic artistic representation, was not my thing. So I didn't think I was an artist. But as my dad was trying to prompt me to take art classes, and I was looking through the catalog of classes available, I saw photography, and I thought, oh, well, that might interest me because it's not fine art. I don't have to draw anything or paint anything. So I thought, all right, well, I'll try that, until I took the first class and discovered that they wanted, I can't even remember how many hours outside of the classroom they wanted of me, and the cost of all the supplies and whatever. And so I dropped the class. I never took art in college, never.
It is
Um,
expensive. It is really expensive.
yeah, but what's really funny though is that my dad saw the art in me, and my dad also he thought I would make a good salesperson.
Hmm.
And I had done retail when I was in high school, and so my mind, and in college, and my mind could really only wrap around that. And I hated it. I didn't want to do that. I
I
didn't
was
want to sell.
merchandising for like this long. And I said, I really don't care about fashion enough to be in this, but yet I work retail clothing stores. So yeah.
Yeah, I did. Now, of course, it was great for me. My mom used to say I should just sign the back of my check and hand it to the store because
Exactly.
I just
Exactly.
got all my clothes there. But I didn't like it. I didn't like the selling. And then I worked, when my husband and I were first married, I worked for a publishing company and had a stint of watching how they sold their product.
Hmm.
And I thought, I don't want to do that either. I mean, that wasn't my thing. I was an editor, but I didn't want, I don't want to do that. So he saw that in me, and I didn't. But
Yeah.
fast forward to then later, what did I wind up doing for the longest period of time in my life? I published an art magazine. You and I were just talking about this before. So I did the art magazine for 10 years. That's the longest period of time I've done any one thing in my life. I have had a number of different things that I've done, but that was the longest. And through it, I discovered my own artistic side and did that. And what did I have to do? It was my own. I didn't work for anybody else. This was my own magazine. I had to
Love the
sell.
lettering and everything. That is just adorable.
I had to sell ads. I had to do all of that kind of stuff. So I had to sell
I
things.
know the ads.
And I did it well,
Mhm.
So it's always funny. I mean, that's why I say, I think as parents, we see things in our children sometimes and see strengths that they don't often recognize, and plus we have experience to know how those skills can be used in ways that they don't really see. But anyway, that was kind of my journey.
Oh, yeah. My younger son was all daddy. He's just not going to be an artist like his mother. No way. And then he's went on in to study aviation, like his dad is a pilot. And then my I'm loving an artist. So he went to the art program and got a degree in graphic arts, and he's wonderful because he's got the computer. So, that helps.
Right.
And so now that they're grown, my other son is getting his pilot's license,
Okay.
which is something we never saw coming. And the other one is doing art. So they're both pilots and artists.
2 children?
2 boys. Mm-hmm.
Boys. Okay. Yeah, I have 2 girls.
Yeah.
But I took art classes in high school, and I took and since all of that, since I graduated from college, I've taken a few different art classes through community centers and things around here.
Right.
But I never, I don't have any formal training in it at all. But I actually, I mean, you can see my painting up there. So, and that was done through
I love it.
a community center that I did. So I've actually discovered that I really like oil painting. And I think that if I really if I did it more often, I think I could develop some skills, because I think there's some innate skills there.
I have a philosophy.
I don't want to ring my own bell too much.
I have a philosophy for that. Because you do get the 7th graders who say, well, I don't know how to draw and things like that. And I said, well, art's not always about drawing, like what you're doing it's not always about the altered art. And that's one of the things that when I teach so many different things for them to kind of find their little niche. And I said, people are going to come to you and they're going to say, I wish I could do that. And your answer to that would be, all it takes is time and following the directions. So my big thing in class, I must say, 2-3 times a week, what I always tell y'all, follow the directions, just follow the directions. So I think that helps a lot of people who stay. It's funny that you talk about not being able to draw. Marna from Dolls Rescue, do you follow her?
No.
The dolls. Okay, she's hilarious. I just love her. She does all these clothing for dolls, and so she makes up stuff, and she's very creative. But she says, I can't draw a stick person. I had something in here that I saw that I thought of her. I don't know where I put it.
Well, I used to never think I could draw either, and as a child,
I can't draw a straight line, kind of thing. You can draw a straight line. There's a lot of art done with straight or stick people. They can't draw stick people. So there's some really good stick people out there. What are you talking about?
But again, Geri, I think that it's just doing it. Like when I force myself to do it, I'm surprised. And the best art teacher I ever had, by the way, and this was
a nice file over here I was looking through.
This was as an adult, and so and unfortunately the gentleman just passed away last fall, and it's very sad for me, because he was kind of a cheerleader.
My art teacher from high school recently passed away.
But I took classes from him at it's not really a community center, but like that. And he was the first person that I took a drawing class from since high school, and actually probably the only one. And he taught me to draw by not teaching me to draw, which was astounding. He just had us look at the picture, and we were to do values. So we used soft fine charcoal, and we were just supposed to find the values in the thing. And it was astonishing to me, and it just opened up my whole world. And then another thing that somebody did for me with my painting was, and it was a life changer, and I wish I could remember who it was, but said to me, oh, you just put in a suggestion of whatever it was, and the mind will fill in the rest. Just put in a suggestion. And I thought, I can suggest things all day long.
I like that idea. That's a good little quote. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, and I wish I could attribute it, but I don't remember who specifically told me that.
Mhm.
I have an idea of who told me that, but I don't know if it was really her or not. But you brought some stuff to share with us?
Well, I just weird. Okay, so you've really inspired me, to go with doing a lot more collage. So I have some 1980s, 70s, even American artist type magazines, and so it's got a lot of artwork in it, and they're just old and yellowed and just looking so bad. And the paper is really fun to work with. So we've been tearing them up at school, and I also tell students to do an artist report. They can cut them up. So we're kind of. But I found this today when I was sorting through. I found this box. It's like for teas.
I'm gonna make your
Can I get it right there? How cool is that for a project? Let me get it right where I can see it.
Oops, wait, no, sorry.
So that I can collage it and do some really, like, even open it up and have like the little different so you can hang it on the wall like this. I can open it and then open it, and you will have like little vignettes going on in there. So I thought that was really cute. But this is from watching you and all your fun stuff. One of the things you had talked was that paper you're working on where you would put it and you're doing the Rorschach work.
Yeah.
So I came across some paper. I had to cover up my face. What we would do in my art classes is at the end of the day, when you have all the acrylics left over, you would just take all your paints and you would make these papers. So I just have a really pretty one. So we would do this, and that way we would have papers for other projects. And one of my students got all crazy and started actually doing a painting. But she left it, and I was like, I'm taking it because I'm going to use that. That is part of one of the assignments that I do with my students. If they did a bad paint, something they didn't like, and we can cut it up, then we will do an artwork where it's just torn paper and stuff like that. So that's something that I love doing. So yeah, you were talking about just kind of getting some papers. I have a suitcase like that big, full of paper.
Yeah.
We're doing this stuff with. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is, and I may have mentioned this here before, probably when I was doing gel printing, both of my children have artistic sensibilities, but they're at that point in life where they're so busy that that's the last thing that they're going to do. My youngest daughter used to come around with me to all of my conventions that I went to with the magazine. And because I did the club, I was often demonstrating product from the club kits to get people interested. And so and then I would sell the surplus. And my youngest daughter would actually create the projects and demonstrate the projects. And she was 8 years old at the time. And it's so funny because she used to sell tons of stuff from my booth because people were really intrigued with the fact that she was 8 years old and doing this. And she'd walk around and sell people stuff. It was cool. But so they both have these artistic tendencies. But that youngest one I just mentioned, one day a few years ago, I was doing gel prints in my home and at my big, kitchen table.
Explain what the gel prints are to everybody.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, and it's hard to believe that because it's like big out there, but it started out people were making gelatin molds, basically, and they were doing monoprinting off of the gelatin molds. So you put paint on there and different things and textures and whatever, and putting your paper down and then lifting a print, hence the print part of it. So there have been a few companies since then that have come out and actually created gel plates that are more long lasting and more durable, and people are doing an awful lot of gel printing. If you are new to gel printing, just look for, search that and you'll be down a rabbit hole that'll take you down for, ever. But I was doing that.
Chalk couture, that's that product, that chalk couture stuff that's coming out where you have, but that's screen printing. That's just a little bit different. Yeah.
So I was doing that at my kitchen table, and my youngest daughter came in, and I said, "Oh, hey, you want to sit down and play and do art with me?" Because she had a few minutes, and she just scrunched up her eyes and looked at me, and she goes, "Well, what do you do with that?" And I'm like, "Well, it's more about the process than the end result, actually." And so then I was on a quest because I didn't know how to answer her. How to use how to use it, but in collage, a lot of people tear them up like the papers you were showing and use them in other ways in collage as background elements, as things in their art journals and whatever. So lots of different ways that you can use those papers that you make. And I love that you did that with your paint at the end of the day. I
Yeah.
always try to remember that, okay, well, I have extra paint. Don't just let it dry and harden and throw it away. Use it in something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. They loved it. In fact, some of the work they did was art in itself. I mean, really. I mean, this one was to try to make art, but it was more, this abstract designs that they were creating was really kind of fun. I think some of them saved just their work just because they liked it.
Uh-huh.
I had one. I do something that a lot of art teachers don't do, and I do abstract. We're going to do it at the end of the year because we got, like I said, like at the end of the year, you've just got paint that by that time has been is almost used up. It's all squeezed to death. It's just pitiful. So we do a texture assignment to just kind of get rid of the old and start fresh the next year. And so that they enjoy doing that because that gives them some freedom to do abstract. But you'll go by and you'll say, okay, but you need to work because your balance is off. So you do get to incorporate the principles and elements of design into your lesson. So it's not just cheating. I just don't like pour everything down on a piece of paper. No, I make them follow certain rules. So
well, that's really good.
Something that you'll appreciate. So we had new windows, and I did not know they were going to tear up everything in my studio, banging on the walls.
That's what's going on here. Keep going. Oh, you got stuck.
So now,
hold on a second.
Thing. Can you see it?
I think you're back.
It was all broken pieces, but I was thinking about, I said, I need to collage this onto something. So I just have all these like broken pieces.
Is that
metal?
I'm gonna
put it in a box.
Is that metal?
Yes. Yeah, it was a little bird. I think I don't have a good background. Let me try this. See, it was just a cute little bird. It was on a ring, and it was a little ornament, and I had it hanging like in the window, but I had it sitting over this. I don't know how they broke. I do not know how they broke it. I don't know how they got to it because I taken it out of the window and everything. They were rough, really rough. But I love teaching. I love to see what other people put together, and we're talking about just all these new crafts and things like that. That's very artistic. People say, "Well, I'm not really an artist, but I can do this." I said, "But that is artistic. You do make decisions, and just incorporating that into other things." But people really believe you're not an artist unless you can draw a portrait. Well, I loved drawing portraits. I thought that was going to be my thing. But the more I did just art in general, the broader I got, and the worse I got at drawing portraits because I wanted to do these other things. Segueing into dolls. That's why I got into the dolls. I think I just really enjoyed what I had learned about drawing portraits. I only have one in my studio that I was working on real quick, but he's got my creepy face, but I just love his face.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, this turning everything in mirror is kind of weird. He's got some hair. He's probably got my fuzziest hair I've ever seen. But yeah, to really draw on the porcelain, paint everything white, and then you're drawing out with charcoal. So it is an experience, and it is like painting a portrait in a way. So
that's kind of what you're known for, though, Geri. Am I right? These Gothic.
It is. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah, I know. I run into college professors, and I'm like, yeah, thanks for all the education. I can learn how to do this. I did a new technique. I'm going to show you this doll. She's pretty big. So this is not pre-painted. This is just using charcoals and pastels. Wow, that is so weird doing in the mirror. Okay. So this is a Marie Osmond doll, one of her dolls. But all I've done is just use charcoal and pastels to kind of give her just more of a grayed down tone, and just I know I don't make gory ones. Okay. Okay. I have made a couple. I'm going to be honest. I made a couple, but yeah, I enjoy doing it. It's fun. There's just something about sitting and just drawing.
So now it's your dolls that kind of took you into the thrifting world. Am I correct? And looking
no.
Tell us how that happened.
No, I mean, back in the day when you're first married and you don't have any money, garage selling, thrift store, that's how you decorate your house, especially if you want to have nice things. When we were first married, I worked. We all volunteered. My husband was an officer in the Air Force, so we had an officer's wives club thrift store. And I worked there, and you also brought stuff, and it was on consignment. It was a really good program. I don't know if they still do it, but it was great. And I bought a lot of stuff there. And then it just kind of kept going. In fact, that's how I started my Fontanini collection for the Nativity. Okay. Was I bought a set there, like the big creche and the starter kit. Yeah, that got crazy. So while I was straightening up my studio, I was looking for something that I did with my artists, my GT class. I keep saying GT stands for gifted and talented, that we did. And this is the fun. I think you should do a little fun class like this. This is like, once again, we're using up the last of you see that? This is my bad one. This is my throw out.
I'm going to put you, now that I know how to do it. It's funny. It took me a while to figure.
Yeah. So this is
the
one I tossed out, but it was, you wet your paper, and this is all done with acrylics, but you put it on pretty thick. You do a wash to get your background, but then while the paper's soaking wet, you add your globs of acrylic, and then you make your stems. And like I said, this is my throw out. And I've kept it to tear up, because that's what we do. But to teach this, the students love it. They have a blast because you just made the coolest looking flowers. And like I said, this was not a good one of mine, but I hoard everything, so paper included. That is a fun project. It's so easy, and I do it with like the back of a brush. We paint with the front of the brush, and then we turn it over, and we use the handle to get the tips out. And I'm kind of leaving that because then this becomes you to kind of.
Oh, you got frozen again.
So it's fun to do though, but yeah, really, really wet paper and good quality. You have to have a good quality paper to do it right. So we learn.
Yeah, I love all that kind of stuff, and it's funny. My passion is actually teaching, and I'm really excited that they just announced it the other day, so it's no longer a secret. But I'm going to be teaching at Stamp Away Rubber Stamp Convention in Cincinnati again this year.
Oh, wow.
And, I've been doing that for many, many years, and I used to go to lots and lots with the magazine and the club, lots of different conventions, and I would teach classes there. But most of them, you had to actually be a vendor there in order to teach, which that's why they kind of all fell by the wayside, because I can't afford to vend there the kind of stuff that I should vend at a venue. But anyway, this one doesn't require me to be a vendor, so I kept my foot in the door there, and I continue to teach. So I was supposed to teach there last year in August, and of course, because of the pandemic, they were trying to make it work, and in the end, it fell apart. So we're doing it this year. So I'm excited. I love to teach. So one of the things I love to teach children, and I did teach drawing to an after school enrichment program. And I really, really enjoyed it. I taught all ages from kindergarten through 6th grade. Really loved it. And I taught high school for 3 years before. I loved that too. But I really enjoy teaching adults, and I enjoy teaching adults art. But I typically tend to be more of a process and a technique teacher than I am a project teacher. Although often you have to have a project in order to justify and do the thing, but that's kind of my thing. But when I got the studio here, one of the things that I did it for was, and I made sure I had enough space here, was to be able to eventually, hopefully, have people in my studio. So I actually do have enough room for a few people, not a lot of people, to teach here. But because of the pandemic, I've discovered that my world actually may be more open than I expected, because while I enjoy the interaction of the live, I can have in person, I could have a few people in person, but I could also do it via Zoom. So I could do both. So I could have that interaction with the people both in person and in interaction live via Zoom. So I'm trying to wrap my head around that. And right now, actually, I still really am trying to just feel my way out with the reselling business, which actually it seems to take up more of my time because it's paying the bills.
Yeah, it does.
So, I'm trying to make that, because the reason why I came here wasn't to resell. That was the way I was justifying it, but that wasn't why I came here. The reason why I came here was to do art.
You find the cutest things. You really do. I mean, my focus kind of was in a different direction, but now that I've kind of honed in, I never see that stuff. I never see all the adorable stuff that you find. That is so precious.
Yeah, I have been very fortunate at the things that I come across. My thing is that I love estate sales. So I have said this to people before. I don't know what people think of me when I say it, but I love people. I love all kinds of people. I love people that may be irritating. I really do. I like people. Now, there are people that my husband and I would call them small doses people. So I may really enjoy them, but I enjoy them in small
Well,
doses
that's
because after a while
absolutely.
you're like this. But I really enjoy people. And so I always thought that I might have loved to have been an anthropologist, that maybe that, because one of the things I enjoy about estate sales is I enjoy going into the home and seeing how this person lived. And in the way I know so many people
Wow,
think of it
wow.
as being
You're
they
like
think,
mind melding here. I think about you a lot though now when I go shopping. Oh, I need to be like this. So
but I
yeah,
think
I feel
so
the same
many people
way.
think of it as being really sad, and it is sad. And I just did this with my dad too. Keep in mind that was a recent thing as well. It is sad, but I look at it as a way to like I'm in this place and I'm seeing this person,
Mhm.
and how they lived, and I'm just fascinated by it, and I'm thrilled that I can take some of what they left behind and give it a new life somewhere else with somebody, whether it's me or whether it's somebody that I resell it to that's also going to love it and enjoy it. And then by that way, I'm allowing, what they cared about to pass through, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
estate sales are really my thing. And then I enjoy going to flea markets is probably my next one. And then some of the other ones. I'm not a big thrifter because I am so protective of my time because I don't have a whole lot of it. And I'm looking for
Mhm.
very specific things. I like vintage items like mid 70s and earlier. And
Right.
I'm not finding them at the thrift
No, you're
stores.
not. Not for
Yeah,
me.
I mean, every once in a while. So it is kind of fun when you do find that hidden gem in the thrift store. But the time that it takes for me to go through a thrift store to happenstance on something like that is not a good use of my time. But anyway, that's
That's
my.
why I'm loving these collaborations with table settings and all. It's a lot of fun because
Mhm,
you find that
mhm.
that's the kind, dishes and all. That's what you find. But there are some women who are finding some fantastic items, and I'm like, wow, they are getting the good stuff, and I'm just like leftover.
Well,
Like I say leftovers, yeah.
if you
But
like
I
it,
love doing the estate sales. Yeah, I know what you mean by just the history of it.
yeah, yeah. If you like the china though and all that kind of stuff and tablescaping and whatever,
Mhm.
this is the time for you because
Mhm.
china is dirt cheap at estate sales. They can't give it away. So,
No.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
like
I pick up
something,
that $20 for all that big set.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
if I mean, my problem is that I just don't have any room for any of that
I
stuff.
don't need. I'm developing room. I'll have to when I'm all about organizing. Apparently, I'd have to show you what I've done with that. So I had to come out of my studio and like grab boxes of things. No, I have cheese. Those cheese boxes, those wooden cheese boxes. Perfect because you get the plates will fit. You can kind of stack a few things. There's some room for the. It's amazing. I'll have to show you. But I'm working on
Yeah.
that for another video. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
crazy. And
well,
then
I'll have to
I'll
tune
back up.
in. And by the way, and I neglect doing that. So Jerry's channel is a happy hoarder, and I will put the link in the description below as well. Um, and I'm not I always have a hard time when I'm in StreamYard because I don't do it very often with guests, trying to figure out how to throw it in there. Actually, because this is going to air later, maybe I have to do it from the road. I'm just thinking aloud of
Uh-huh.
maybe trying to pin it to the top of the actual comments since we're not going to have people commenting live.
Mhm.
They'll be commenting in the comments. So yeah, but one way or another, guys, check out her channel because it's amazing because she does all those different things. It's very eclectic. Jerry does, she does the art, she does the thrifting. You've been doing all of those challenges with like the tablescaping and that sort of thing, and that's really kind of interesting. So lots of different things, very eclectic.
Yeah, I think calling yourself a hoarder is maybe gives you these negative connotations immediately. But yeah, I've got all the symptoms, so yes, I am a hoarder. But in fact, I'm doing it for a purpose. I mean, I have a use for it, and I do recycle. I may give it back to God, or I sell it, because sometimes I need the money because I want to spend more money. But when I'm looking at some of the stuff in my studio, I go, yeah, it's time to let some of these things go. If I'm not enjoying it, pass it on to someone else who will.
Right.
That
Well,
kind of
see that right
you're
now
gonna get
I'm
that. I
friends
can
with.
do something with that, and you're the same way. You're very smart and creative, and so you're like, but I can do something with this little broken ornament that will be so cute.
And that becomes a problem because then it's hard to get rid of it because you still have that in your mind. And I have to come to a point where it's like, okay, if I don't do something with this within X amount of time, then it needs to it needs to move out.
I think that, okay. So I'm going to give you a little chance. So what would you do with this on a collage? How would you collage this in?
I wouldn't put it in a collage. I would make an assemblage piece out of it.
Well, that too. Yeah.
You know, I would make a sculpture.
We'll have that box. So that's what I was thinking of, adding it to the box. But I'm thinking about putting like a tissue over it to, once I glue it all down, putting a tissue over it and kind of getting it all smooshed down in it. You know what I mean? And then painting over that and just give it that little bit of texture.
Oh, that would be really cool. You should do that. And then
I think a lot of people would throw this away. And this is where you and I would say, no, I could do something with this. So,
I get the most excited about broken and ripped up stuff because I feel less intimidated by using it in a different, like I'm giving it new life as opposed to ruining it or whatever. So I've often told, like I have some friends out there that I've made through doing the estate sales, like people that act in the companies that run them. And I've told them, don't get rid of the broken stuff. You know, don't get rid of the broken stuff, like broken china. People think to throw it away. No, don't throw away the broken china because you can solder that and make beautiful jewelry out of it.
I have a friend who does that.
I'm less likely to take a new plate and smash it than I am to use pieces that are already broken, you know, in something. So yeah, I'm always
praying to break. Oh, that's my timer telling me I got to get ready for school.
I love it.
Early.
It's kind of the music taking us out.
No, I need to get up and get like, but I'm dressed, so I'm way ahead of the game. See, I'm already dressed. So good.
Well, Geri, I'm so excited that you joined us today, and actually, hopefully, we will do it again in the future because we barely scratched the surface of things that we could talk about.
Well, okay, so you're talking about we should get together and do some kind of weird, you know, find a project to do together, and whether it's assembling something or whatever that, or even my roses. No, actually, real quick before I go, I did find the notebook that had it in. I thought I had taken this to school, but I actually left it here. This was all these different things that I've taught. And where did I put those flowers? We did them at the end. Oh, so here's some more examples that kind of came out, I think, a little bit better.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
With the yellow. That's just, these came out much nicer than the one I tossed. Wow. So that's what this can be a lot. This one I backed up with. I came back over it with some charcoal. I mean, I'm sorry. That's.
Well, you know what, Geri, since that's your idea, why don't we plan on, let's get together sometime in a few weeks and do that together.
Okay.
We can together make, and we'll see how how they come out, and we'll do it for everybody, and everybody can join us.
This summer's going to be more of me spending time in my studio for sure. So that will be great. I will enjoy doing that. So we need to set up our little fun time. So I have really enjoyed getting to know you. It's kind of weird. Like I'm getting to know all these friends. Well, you mentioned my name on when I was showing your show during my art class, and all the kids like perked up. Did you just say your name? I said, yeah. Celebrity knows me. So.
And it is funny. I've told my husband this the other day. There are certain people that I watch on YouTube that I just know immediately I would click with, and you're one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us today. And those of you that are not subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it that you would subscribe and click the bell so that you know when I go live or when I post new content. And leave us a comment below. What do you think of this video? Tell us your thoughts. That would be wonderful as well. So thanks, Geri. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And
let me end with that. And thanks for watching, and hit that notification button because sometimes I make really good videos.
She does. Make sure you subscribe. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.